In this video, we're going to do an introduction to the area of demonic authority. Now, there's going to be 5 videos after this video on demonic authority and where they kind of get their authority from. Think of authority as the ability and permission to do something. Webster's dictionary describes it as the power to give orders, to make decisions, the power or right to direct or control someone or something. It's within this definition that we'll be discussing the authority of demons to exist and work in the world today. The Bible tells us that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, people or their strategies, but against the demonic kingdom of Satan set up in opposition to God. Ephesians 6 verse 12 says, "Our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." Understanding demonic authority is important because if we're really in a struggle against the kingdom of Satan, it's very helpful to know why that kingdom is allowed to exist and to fight us, and where it gets its power from. That's especially important. After all, wouldn't it be easier for God to just wipe out all evil influences that affect us? What authority does Satan have to exist if it's true that all authority comes from God? Romans 13:1 tells us this, where it says, "Let everyone be subject to governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established." The authorities that exist have been established by God. Now, even one of the archangels, Michael, was slow to attack Satan's authority in a rather strange passage of scripture found in Jude chapter 1 verse 9, where he and Satan are arguing about the body of Moses. Everything functions because God has willed or authorized it to be so. Acts 17 verse 28 says, "In him we live and move and have our being." See, once we understand the authority that a demon has to function, we'll also understand what needs to happen for that demon's authority to be taken away from them. The Bible talks in various places about different kinds of authority that God has established. God's original purpose for authority was to give us, humans, the ability to serve that which we have authority over. Our God of love does not use his authority to enslave us or make us do things for him. In fact, the intention behind his request, as Christians, for him to be Lord of our lives, is so that we can enjoy the best life possible on this planet that he's placed us on. When he hands out authority to us, he expects us to act in the same way that he does while using that authority. It's important to understand who has been given authority by God, because these people have a choice regarding whose side they'll use that authority for. Demons understand this only too well. Just because someone has amazing authority from God to affect the lives of people doesn't mean that they're going to use that authority for God's kingdom. So demons actively work to manipulate our authority to benefit their own kingdom. It's also important to understand in this discussion that not every person who's using some form of God's authority in the wrong way is unleashing Satan's kingdom on the world around them. We're going to be talking about a lot of different kinds of authority and ways they get manipulated by Satan. But it doesn't mean that every time someone uses authority wrongly that there's demonic possession or oppression occurring. In addition, not everyone who rebels against God's authority in some way is going to become demon-possessed. Satan's kingdom is not in all places at all times. It's not omnipresent. It's also not all-knowing or omniscient. Satan's kingdom has limitations, even on the number of demons capable of oppressing and harassing mankind. The purpose of talking about demonic authority is not to instill fear in people, but rather to warn people that the war that they're in is real and happening every day. And tragically, it's God's own authority given to us which has been freely handed over to demonic power. It's this authority handed over to them that's being used against us. And it's not just people who worship Satan directly. Sometimes it's even people of faith who are handing over their authority. In the lessons that follow this one, we will be examining most of the areas of demonic authority. This includes areas of authority from God, such as parental authority, marital authority, spiritual leaders' authority, and our own personal autonomy and authority. In addition, we'll be looking at some ways that Satan uses our rebellion against God and God-given authority to also manipulate our authority for his purposes. I want to emphasize again, as you watch these videos on demonic sources of authority, to not assume that you or your friends have come under bondage to a demon because of a misuse of bad authority in your life or rebellion you have enacted against good authority over you. It can definitely happen, but it doesn't happen all the time. This series on the demonic is not intended to sow fear in the hearts of all who watch it. The intention is to educate Christians about how demons function and how to live a life that loves Jesus and is totally free of any demonic entanglements whatsoever. At a later time, I'll also be talking about how to recognize when a demon is attacking, oppressing, or possessing a person and what can be done about it. The authority given to us by God is an awesome thing. Even Satan and the demons understand this and seek to manipulate our authority for their purposes. The more that we understand about how this works, the less likely we are to accidentally hand over that authority for the wrong purpose.